I'm a 22-year-old girl named Melissa, and I just need to get this off my chest. I've carried this weight for far too long. I spent years hating my husband, Ryan, thinking he had done something unforgivable, and only now, after everything has finally come to light, do I understand the truth. It's hard to even put into words the mix of relief, guilt, and anger I feel, but I have to try. I met Ryan in college, a few years older than me at 25. He was quiet, a little reserved, but there was something kind about him that made people trust him. I was 18, just starting my freshman year, and he already had his life planned out, or so it seemed. We had mutual friends and kept bumping into each other at study sessions and group projects. Eventually, he started sitting with me at the library, helping me with economics. I liked that he didn't talk much unless it was important, and I liked that he always made time to explain things patiently, even if I asked the same question multiple times. Ryan's family was complicated, though. He had an older brother, Henry, who everyone called the golden child. Growing up, Henry had been the favorite. Ryan told me once that he could barely get a word in with his parents if he failed at something, while Henry could do no wrong. Henry eventually dropped out of college and ran a small hardware store, with their parents helping him every step of the way. Ryan, on the other hand, had to work for everything he got. I could see why he carried a quiet tension with him all the time, even when he smiled. By the time I finished college and started my first full-time job in our hometown, Ryan and I had been dating seriously for a few years. We moved in together, and for the first time, I felt like I had a small, safe space that was just ours. Ryan's parents were surprisingly warm toward me when I met them for the first time during the holidays of 2006. I remember the smell of cinnamon rolls from the kitchen and the way his mom fussed over my coat. Everyone was cheerful and welcoming, but there was a tension I noticed immediately. Henry. He watched me in a way that made me uncomfortable. I brushed it off at first, thinking I was imagining things. But soon he started visiting Ryan's apartment much more than necessary. What had been occasional visits became daily appearances. Ryan finally drew the line, asking him to limit visits. It led to a huge argument with their parents, but in the end, Henry agreed to come only once a month. Life went on. Ryan proposed in 2009, and we celebrated with a small engagement party. Henry showed up, shook Ryan's hand without a word, and left early. I didn't think much of it at the time, though I could feel the cold energy lingering. Ryan and I married in 2010. During the wedding, Henry brought a date, Kate. 9 months later, they were married. For a while, I hoped that meant he had moved on and we could all be family again. Then things started to unravel. In 2012, Henry's marriage ended. He claimed it was Kate's coldness that drove them apart, but I noticed he always had eyes for me at family gatherings. One day, Kate confessed to me privately that Henry had been obsessed with Ryan, with no direct mention of me at first, and I started piecing things together. I confronted Ryan about it, but he denied everything. Our argument was heated, and I left feeling uneasy. Ryan decided to forgive his brother publicly, but warned him never to cross boundaries again. Henry seemed to comply, but the tension never fully disappeared. By 2015, everything changed. It started with a phone call from Ryan's father, his anger palpable even through the line. When I arrived at their house, I found Ryan's wife crying, his parents furious. They accused him of something I couldn't believe. A girl from high school, Amanda, had claimed he had assaulted her. She even sent screenshots to Ryan's wife. Ryan tried to explain, but no one would listen. By that evening, he had been kicked out, divorced, and disowned, while rumors spread across the extended family and friend groups. Ryan retreated, devastated. For months he drank, struggled to find work, and barely survived. But then, by chance, he ran into James, a college acquaintance, who offered him a role in a new management consulting firm he was setting up. James introduced him to Derek, another coworker who became like an older brother. Slowly, Ryan began rebuilding his life. He joined a gym, started therapy, and finally began to reclaim the control he had lost over his own story. It was during this time that Kim entered his life. She was 28, half Korean, half Italian, working behind the counter of a local coffee shop. Ryan noticed her glances during a regular coffee stop, and Derek nudged him to ask her out. Their first date was tentative, with Ryan opening up about the past, warning her of the baggage he carried. Kim surprised him by saying she trusted him and wanted to give it a chance. Slowly, their relationship blossomed into something steady, nurturing, and kind. By 2021, Kim had set up her own cloud kitchen with help from her parents. They were finally finding peace and stability. In 2023, Kim announced she was pregnant. And Rayan proposed again, this time with a sense of relief and hope he hadn't felt in years. Part 1 ends here with Rayan and Kim together, preparing for the next chapter, as the shadow of his past still lingers, waiting to be addressed. After years of chaos, Rayan finally seemed to be settling into a life I had once thought impossible for him. He was happy with Kim, and I watched from the sidelines, unable to fully breathe because of the weight I still carried in my chest. You see, I still blamed him. I still thought he had done the unthinkable back when the rumors started. I avoided his calls, ignored messages, and told anyone who would listen how he had betrayed the family. It was a slow, cold burn of resentment. Every time I saw him at a gathering or through social media, I felt that knot twist in my stomach. I would see his smile, hear his laughter, and feel nothing but anger. It was exhausting, and deep down I hated myself for it. I didn't want to hate him, but it had become automatic. Then, one afternoon in late 2023, everything changed. I was scrolling through my email when a message caught my attention. It was from Amanda, the girl who had started all of this chaos years ago. The subject line read, "You deserve the truth." My hands trembled as I clicked it. Amanda's email was long, detailed, and precise. She admitted that she had lied about Rayan back in 2015. She explained that it had been a bitter revenge scheme, fueled by jealousy and the influence of someone else who had convinced her to fabricate the entire story. She apologized for the years of pain she had caused him and admitted that the rumors had been entirely false. She even attached documents that proved she had given false statements to authorities and witnesses, which led to Rayan's divorce and the public shaming he endured. I sat frozen, my heart pounding. Years of hatred, bitterness, and false blame suddenly felt heavy on my chest. I had believed this lie. I had shared it with friends, family, and even strangers. I had destroyed his reputation in my mind, but none of it was true. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't look at anyone without feeling the shame. I tried to call Rayan, but the fear of what I might say, or how he might react, stopped me. I wrote drafts of messages, deleting them repeatedly. Eventually, I decided that I had to see him in person. I couldn't just send an email or text. When I arrived at Rayan and Kim's house, I took a deep breath. Kim opened the door, and I immediately noticed the warm, soft aura she had created around Rayan. Their home was tidy, cheerful, filled with little signs of life. A toy on the floor, baby clothes neatly stacked, the scent of fresh bread in the air. I felt out of place. Rayan came to the door. His face registered shock, confusion, and a flicker of something else I wasn't ready to face, anger. "Melissa?" he said cautiously. His tone was neutral, but I could feel the weight behind it. I swallowed hard. "Rayan, I need to tell you something. I know now that I was wrong about you. I believed a lie for years, and I can't begin to express how sorry I am." His eyes narrowed slightly. "Years, huh?" he said, the edge in his voice making my stomach flip. "You believed Amanda over me? You told everyone I was capable of. That I did something horrible." I nodded, tears welling. "I know, I can't undo it. I can't take back the pain I caused you, but I had to come and tell you the truth, what I know now." "You didn't do it. It was all a lie." He looked at me for what felt like an eternity, the silence suffocating. Kim came closer, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Rayan's expression softened slightly, and he let out a long sigh. "It doesn't erase what happened," he said quietly. "But thank you for finally telling me." We sat down in the living room. I could feel the tension, the history, and the hurt, all colliding in that small space. I apologized over and over, trying to explain the years of misunderstanding, my blind hatred, and the weight of believing a lie. He listened, sometimes grimacing, sometimes silent, but never interrupting. Eventually, he spoke. "Melissa, I won't lie. Those years, they left scars. You weren't the only one who suffered from Amanda's lies. I lost my family, my home, my job prospects at the time. People thought I was capable of something I would never do. But you coming here, owning your mistake, that takes courage." I nodded, my tears streaming. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know the truth." Rayan finally gave a small, sad smile. "We'll get through it." We always did, in our own way. After that day, I slowly began to reconnect with him, not romantically, but as someone who had been a part of his life and deeply wronged him. I wanted to help make amends. It wasn't easy. I faced the challenge of apologizing to his friends, clearing my statements, and even helping repair the damage in the family. Some people never believed the truth, but a few were willing to hear me out. Over time, Rayan rebuilt his trust in me. He never went back to being the same person he was with me before the lies, but he began to heal, with Kim by his side. I watched as he started preparing for fatherhood, filling his life with genuine happiness, free from the shadow of false accusations. I realized something important during this journey. Hate is heavy, and when it's built on lies, it can destroy both the target and the one who carries it. I had wasted years hating someone I loved because I refused to seek the truth. Now I had a choice. Let guilt consume me forever, or use it to grow, to understand, and to finally move forward. After that first difficult meeting with Rayan and Kim, life began to shift. The heavy weight of guilt I had carried for years started to lighten, though not instantly. I knew that forgiveness would take time, for him and for me. I made it my mission to correct the record. I started by reaching out to close friends and family who had believed the lies about Rayan. It was painful, seeing the doubt in their eyes as I explained what really happened, but I persisted. Some people refused to listen, clinging stubbornly to old narratives. Others, thankfully, were willing to hear me out, slowly realizing that they had been misled as well. Rayan, for his part, maintained a quiet dignity. He didn't lash out, didn't accuse me further. He simply allowed me to take responsibility for my part. Kim was supportive but firm. She reminded me gently that our past mistakes didn't vanish overnight, and that real trust had to be earned, not demanded. Over the next few months, I worked on rebuilding bridges where I could. I even met with Amanda once under the guidance of a mediator. She had spent years hiding from the consequences of her actions, and I realized that she too had a story, though it didn't excuse what she did. She admitted her jealousy, her lies, and her manipulations. Seeing her remorse, shallow as it sometimes felt, helped me finally release some of the anger I had carried. At home, I started journaling again, this time writing down the lessons I had learned. I reflected on the dangers of believing rumors, the destructiveness of hate, and the importance of verifying truth before acting. Each entry was a step toward understanding myself and the consequences of my actions. One evening, Rayan invited me to dinner, not a formal reconciliation. Not an apology dinner, but a simple meal, like old friends might share. Kim joined us naturally, and I felt a surprising warmth in the room. The conversation was light at first, joking about mundane things, then slowly shifted to more serious topics. We talked about the past, and for the first time, it felt possible to talk without the weight of misunderstanding hanging over us. "I've learned a lot from this," Rayan said quietly, looking at me. "Not just about the lies I had to endure, but about people, trust, and forgiveness. And I've learned that holding on to anger only prolongs pain for everyone involved." I nodded, tears welling again. "I know. I've wasted so many years hating you for something that never happened. I can't undo the past, but I want to be someone better going forward." Kim smiled at both of us, her presence calm and grounding. "It's clear that you both want to move forward. That's all that matters now. The past is heavy, but it doesn't have to define your future." As the months went by, I focused on myself. I found a new job, started volunteering, and immersed myself in activities that gave me a sense of purpose outside of past mistakes. I built friendships rooted in honesty, and I learned to let go of grudges that didn't serve me. Rayan, Kim, and I eventually found a rhythm. I wasn't back in his life as it had been. I didn't want to be, but I had a place in it. I could celebrate his successes, support him when needed, and genuinely be happy for him, free from jealousy or resentment. Kim and I formed a bond as well. It wasn't immediate, but over time, we came to respect each other, bound by the mutual understanding of our past and our shared care for the people involved. The final closure came unexpectedly. One day, Amanda reached out again, this time offering a sincere apology and acknowledgement of the damage she had caused. She wanted to make amends in small ways, reaching out to people she had misled, helping Rayan with things he had lost along the way. I realized that confronting her, facing the person who had triggered so much chaos, was the last piece of the puzzle. Standing in Rayan's living room that day, I finally felt free from the chains of hate. I didn't forgive Amanda completely. Some things cannot be fully erased, but I could acknowledge the truth and release my anger. And most importantly, I could release myself. Looking back, I understand now that hate is like a poison. When you carry it without verification, it corrodes your soul, destroys relationships, and leaves a trail of regret. I spent years blaming Rayan, hating him, and seeing him as a villain, when in truth he was a victim of circumstances beyond his control. My journey was painful, but it taught me empathy, patience, and the importance of seeking the truth before passing judgment. I share my story here because maybe someone out there is carrying hate built on lies. Maybe you've misunderstood someone, judged them unfairly, or let rumors guide your emotions. I hope my experience shows that it's never too late to confront the truth, to apologize, and to heal. Rayan's life is better now, his happiness intact, and I've finally found peace within myself. The years of misplaced anger have taught me lessons I will carry forever. I am Melissa, and I spent years hating my husband for something he never did. But now I understand the truth, and in that truth I found freedom.